This podcast service from News Talk 870 WHCU is brought to you by Black Box Computer Consulting. They know what's inside.
WHCU News Time is now 7:53 on the Saturday morning Newswatch, and now we welcome to the show author Pamela Glasner, who will be at Ithaca's Barnes & Noble later today to talk about her new book, Finding Emmaus. She'll also be signing copies of her book alongside another author as part of this afternoon's event titled Pills and Politics, The Devil's Bargain. So to tell us more is Pamela joining us now. Good morning, Pamela.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for coming on. Now, this book is called Finding Emmaus. It's a fictional book, but it's also rooted with some facts about the role that pharmaceutical companies play and the role that they have for prescription drug treatment and mental illness. You want to talk a little bit more about the book?
Yes, I'd love to. Thank you. It was initially meant to be a statement on the intolerance of society for anything which falls outside the norm. That intolerance usually being born of fear or misunderstanding or discomfort.
Right.
And because I wanted everything to sound plausible, I did lots of research so that the setting and the underlying facts would be accurate, and that's when I accidentally tripped over what the pharmaceutical industry is up to and the FDA's complicity in it.
It sounds like a unique book. What is it that made you want to write about this subject? Did you have a personal experience or some sort of personal connection to the issue of mental illness?
Not at all. My stories seem to write themselves. I was writing about one thing, and the next thing I knew, I found out about this and said, "Oh my goodness!" And it touched such a strong chord in me that I just had to keep going with it. That's all. So that's kind of how it progressed.
Well, we mentioned that it's a fictional book, but you also just mentioned how you did your fair share of research. What is it that you found when you were kind of delving into the world of pharmaceutical companies?
Well, I started. I needed to know what it meant to be to have bipolar disorder, which is the mental illness equivalent of the extraordinary gift that my characters have. And so, as I was reading about it, and I started reading about the treatments, and I started reading about what goes on between the pharmaceutical industry and the FDA, I was reading personal histories and diaries and letters from people, and it just kind of ballooned. It just moved me in a way that nothing ever has in my life.
We're chatting with Pamela Glasner, author of Finding Emmaus. She'll be in Ithaca today for a book signing. And Pamela, what is it that you hope people take away from this book?
Well, of course, because of the topic, it is a book about suffering caused by ignorance and greed and sometimes just outright malice. But it's also a book about dedication and selflessness and hope, and I'd like to think that it might inspire someone to want to make some changes in this country because there's a system that's very broken right now.
And I wanted to ask you what's next because I'm reading here that this is actually a first in a series of books. So where do you take the series next? And also, I even heard rumors something about a film related to this book that you just wrote. Where are we with that?
Well, I can't get into too many of the details about the film, but there is a screenplay right now, and we are in talks with some interested people, and unfortunately I can't say much more about that. It started out as a trilogy, and because it's kind of grown exponentially, it's now up to 4 books, and who knows, as the story progresses, it might develop into more. I don't know, but right now I'm kind of sticking with the number 4.
I see.
I'm in book 2 right now, and hopefully that will be coming out sometime next year.
All right. Well, we've been chatting with author Pamela Glasner. Her new book, Finding Emmaus, available now. You can pick up a copy today and meet Pamela herself at Ithaca's Barnes & Noble at 2 o'clock today. And Pamela, I was checking the book out on Amazon.com, and it was a lot of good reviews on the book. So I'm definitely recommending this to people. And thanks for coming on this morning and sharing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.